Danger zone. There are jitters along every inch of his scales, and he can't keep the smile off his face. Today was the day. This was it. The prototypes were finished. The training was as thorough both in as out of the VR pods. All right, boys. We've got green lights all the way down. Call sign sound off. Ground control orders and Hugh grins. He'd met his whole team in person. Hugh was the smallest by far, with ground control being one of their all-male team. A Nagasha man where you could hear the occasional rattle as he manipulated things. This is Red 1, Triple D here for fun. Deep and playful Triple D was always ready for some new stunt. The Drin man had modified his cockpit to accommodate all his extra arms and own senses in order to really push his ship to the limit. Red 2, Contrail, here to be counted. A little raspy due to being punished for disobedience when Big Mama had her hooks in him, Contrail was happiest high up and soaring. One of the 4 Trets on the team, he had to do something to stand out. Here is Red 3, Velocity. For how stern the man could be and how stoic he normally acted, he was kind of crazy when he got his finger on an accelerator. Mostly in that he wouldn't take it off the accelerator for the life of him. A Tret as well, he kept his head bald and shiny. Red 4 Manic. From a basso lounge singer being passed around as a trophy under the families to the man who could not stop pulling stupid stunts, crashed 2 of the prototypes by himself and bragged about it. Manic's life had changed a great deal, and if the smile was any indication, for the better. He had the kind of casual grace that no one else could match. He had gotten by being seductive and intoxicating to the women around him. Now, he was as deadly as he was tempting. Red 5 Hugh 2, Hugh adds in as his smile widens just a little more. Franklin had brought him in for a family movie night to show him where the designation sign came from. As a result, he got himself a blue-hued plasma sword in order to complete the setup. Then a green one for when he was in all black. Red 6, double tap ready and waiting. One of the fresher recruits of Red Squadron. He made a point of making sure things were super dead in all simulations. It wasn't enough for them to be in pieces. The pieces had to be blown into smaller pieces. He had taken to the training with sidearms the most. The man's obsession with his gun was growing scary. Chonky, Red 7. The Platin man had massively oversized limbs due to a bevy of drugs he had been forced to take. He had trouble getting into most door frames and wanted to be something more than just eye candy or a fist in some idiot's gut. Red 8's a bird brain, the only member of the squad that could fly without machine influence. The fact that the man's a Sonier just really makes it ironic. Heifer here, Red 9. The Aguila of the group, he was the only person that could easily manhandle Chonky, but tended to more technical affairs. He fancied himself an artist and already put in the paperwork to be allowed to repaint his ship. Red 10, call sign Giggles. One of the prizes of the slave ship sounds out. Giggles had no sense of humor and was as cold as his element. All right, gents, we've got a few more moments until the big reveal. How are your systems looking? Ground control asks, and there's a quick flurry of affirmations. All right, good. Remember that this is just a show-off. We're unveiling the ships today, and if you launch anything but flares, there's going to be hell. What about the other squadrons? Green, yellow, and blue? Double Tap asks. Don't worry about the other squadrons. Just focus on getting the demonstration right. Today, we show off to the people of Vuxa that we've got awesome new toys to keep them safe with. Out there are your friends and families. Let them know that you've got them covered and forget about the rest. Ground control says, and there's some confirmation all around. All right, boys. The Duchess is starting her speech. You know your cue. When I took control of this planet, I made a vow to myself in secret, but a vow you must hear this day. I vowed that I would never see my home burn again, Duchess Lilpaw announced on the screen. Whether it was live or pre-recorded, no one knew or cared. The heavily pregnant Lopin in naval finery announces herself dramatically. A small festival had been set up with free drinks, and the street vendors had shown up in force for a massive payday. Couple that with some games such as the laser tag maze, a few dueling circles, a small army of street performers, and even more besides. All over the world there were similar festivals in major cities. Whether it was morning, midday, or midnight, there was all the reason to be up, out, and partying, or at least listening to the announcement. I know that pain. I know that suffering. When I was taken long ago by the dark cabal, the atrocities they committed upon me burned the truth of the galaxy upon me as surely as their flensing knives left lines of burning pain through my flesh, she announces before taking a deep breath. I have refused to have these scars healed so that I may never forget the cost of weakness and sloth. A weakness I do not have. My warriors and I have already fought off those that would come to make you slaves, have slaughtered those that held you in bondage, and have spent every day ensuring that our new home would be a paradise. But to be that paradise, one must have the strength to protect it. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. The price of paradise is power. The price of safety is strength. And today, our strength grows. Never again will I look upon a blasted world and feel my heart die, nor shall any of you. This world, this system is safe. Safe under my warships, safe under my attack satellites, safe under my warriors, safe under my fighters. She announces out loud, and from the base a series of 10 different strike fighters launch into the air. Vuxa 5 is strong. Vuxa 5 is safe. The fighters leave of singular trails of red smoke and paint symbols into the sky. Even our men are mighty. Not only the humans who've come with me, but the people of this world, the sons of Vuxa. They soar straight and strong to guard you all, Duchess Lilpaw announces. And more will come, Duke Brent says, stepping in to stand beside his wife. He gives a smirk to the camera and nods calmly. This world is allied to the undaunted, and we will be growing stronger. All those willing to swear the oath and stand up beside us will be taught to be strong as well. Strength to protect your own, strength to change the world, strength to accomplish your goals, strength to stand tall no matter who or what tries to rip you down. In space, in the sky, on the ground, or manning the guns, there will always be a call for those willing to stand up for others, to stand for what you love. Hell, if you just want some adventure and good pay, then we'll take that too. And not all is combat, my dear. Do remember we need a great many people in the logistical division as well. Those willing to build, organize, and even just cook are all needed. Armies march on their stomach, and there's no one more loved in a unit than the cook. Then right in front of the screen, the fighters zoom and then climb into the sky, corkscrewing together and trailing red smoke before zooming down to the streets below. Multiple streets had been kept fastidiously clear by security, and all of a sudden it becomes clear why. The fighters shift and reorient themselves as they descend from the sky. Then they stand upon legs that had unfolded from their wings, and they march in formation, their burn lasers hanging low beneath them with the rail guns hidden just above them as a simple hole. To either side are plasma cannons primed and ready to slag any armor. There are cheers on the street as in the 4 major cities across the world. Each of the squadrons march in their machines. Behold, the Vuxa meteors, our defensive strike fighters. Their burn lasers will eat through any shields and leave our opponents vulnerable to plasma fire. But if the enemies think that's all they've got, well, we've got a few surprises in store for them. There will be more to come as we will be recruiting for more and more. Right now, there are 40 of these great ships and more to come, but we need pilots, brave women and men ready and willing to take to the sky or land to fight for Vuxa 5. Miles steps forwards. But of course, anyone can fly a ship easily enough. We have a test for all of you. There are remote control codes being handed out. These will let you use your communicators to control drones we're about to unleash into the sky. See how well you can evade our forces." Then Hugh grins as his radar pings. The targets are in the air. Now comes the fun part. He triggers the transformation to flight mode and blasts off hard into the sky. The climb pushes him back into his seat as he adjusts the controls minutely. The Trets, with the exception of Double Tap, all blast ahead with Triple D leading them. But Hugh's not worried. In fact, he's feeling pretty confident, because he opens up with his burn laser first. He tested it up and down, and it turns out the laser generally had another quarter-kilometer of maximum range in the mid-atmosphere compared to lower. It wasn't much normally, but at times like this it made the difference. 1 kill for him. 500 drones above this city alone. They all scatter, some charging with their lasers, some trying to dive bomb the fighters, others just shifting around and trying to get control of the drones properly. None of the squadron bother with the railguns, but Double Tap is constantly using his plasma as soon as it refills from the local atmosphere. This, of course, encourages everyone else to start bombarding with plasma shots, and Hugh just chuckles as he flares his burn laser over and over. Why bother with the slow, clumsy plasma in atmosphere when you can just burn it away? He tilts his ship to the side to avoid a drone attempting to ram him. Apparently the crowd down below aren't fond of losing. Go figure. Humir huffs in amusement as Red 5 burns down her own drone. She turns off her communicator and looks up at the lights dancing in the sky. There's no way of knowing which one is her boy, but he's up there and blazing with all lasers hot. So many years of worrying, of terror and threats and not knowing. She had given up so much on the promise of him being safe, and now he was flying to protect her instead. "He's doing pretty well, isn't he?" a male voice asks from behind her, and she turns to see her daughter Hutha, or rather Smitha, as she took his clan name to place upon hers. Because it's always clan first. Always. And right behind her daughter, who's so beautiful despite the bandage scar across her face, is the red-coated Franklin. His growing hair clashing horribly with the coat as it always does, but knowing that it's a symbol of his victories and sheer disrespect to his enemies paints it in a new light entirely. The sheer ferocity to wrestle down a monster with nothing but brute force, and then cut it up for parts in retribution for it attacking children, said so much about him and the other men. He's the one that's not using plasma. He's sticking to lasers alone. Franklin explains, pointing up and then following a specific craft as it dodges, weaves, and burns down opposing drones. She can only smile up at her little boy. So strong and so free now that he's had a chance to fly.